On this episode of the Hub on Hollywood, we are talking Book of Boba Fett, why I love 90% of it and the rest I want to burn with fire. And we are also talking about the very exciting, very violent latest season of Ozark. I'm Jamie.
I'm James.
He's not, but I'll explain. So for those of you who noticed, this is not James. This is my husband, Ron. Hi.
Hello.
Everybody. Welcome, Ron.
Thank you for having me.
Okay. James is a little under the weather, so we are wishing him the best and a speedy recovery. We've got this on lock today, husband. So
Indeed we do.
We are talking first about the Book of Boba Fett and Star Wars, which is your favorite, right?
Absolutely. I am a huge Star Wars fan.
Right. So, who's Anakin Skywalker?
Luke Skywalker's... No, before he was Darth Vader.
No, don't even just stop talking. Anyways, he doesn't know much about Star Wars, but he tries. He tries, and we appreciate that, and he's going to help us with this discussion about the latest episode of Book of Boba Fett, which is the spin-off series that has come out of The Mandalorian. So episode 5, this is the return of Mando. This is the return of the Mandalorian. And he doesn't just make a guest appearance. He has taken over the dang show. He's taken over the whole show. The entire episode is all about Mando. Right? We love Mando. We love Baby Yoda.
Everyone loves Baby Yoda.
Everyone loves Baby Yoda. You don't need to know about Star Wars to love Baby Yoda. He's everywhere. And he's all over our house. Wasn't he in here?
He was.
Dang it. We
Children moved him.
Children moved him. So, okay, like I said, I love 90 to 95% of this episode. The rest of it really needs to be thrown out the window and set on fire. And I'll explain. I will explain. He already had to listen to me and calm me down and talk me back off the ledge. But so we pick up where the Mandalorian left off, which is very cool. So Mando is running around in possession of the Darksaber, right? And he's missing his baby. He's missing baby Grogu because who wouldn't? Who wouldn't? He's got that little baby Grogu hole in his heart. So he's missing Grogu something fierce, and now he injures himself. He's out there being a bounty hunter. And looking for the other Mandalorians. And in the process, he injures himself with the Darksaber. He's having trouble with the Darksaber. So they're in this city, right? This Cloud City-esque place where he finds the other Mandalorians down in the bowels of the city, hanging over, hanging on the bottom, which is kind of cool. He finds the armorer and one other Mandalorian, and they accept him back, right? They accept him back into the group. He starts training with the Darksaber, and for some reason it's so heavy. It's so heavy, he's swinging it, and every time he swings it, it gets heavier and heavier, and the armorer tells him it's because you are fighting the Darksaber instead of fighting your opponent. Because he is missing Grogu something fierce, and his heart is heavy, dear. His heart is so heavy with that longing, with that missing of his baby. What do you think about that? He's just struggling mightily with that Darksaber.
It's, the adopted parental instincts, perhaps, where you have that bond and...
Yeah.
Yeah, you like a small, cute pet. I mean, yes, everyone loves Baby Yoda. You carry something cute and, that squeeze and...
Yeah, squeeze and peas.
Squeeze and peas, and you come attached. I totally get that.
Yes, exactly. And we don't know, where the rest of the Yodas are. We still don't even know the name of the species that this creature is, but that's part of the fun, is figuring that out. So Mando gets challenged by the other male Mandalorian, kicks his ass, beats him up. And that's when the armorer says, hey, is kind of like reading their creed to them, like reaffirming their creed, and says, have you ever taken off your helmet? Dun, dun, dun. Which, of course, he did. And we see that very, very handsome, the very, very handsome man underneath in the last series of The Mandalorian, but this is a big no-no. We're getting we're understanding where Mando is, where he's going. He has to go, the only way that he can be redeemed and rejoin the group is by going to Mandalore and bathing himself in the waters of some mines.
I get Chappelle Show vibes from that. The scene with Prince and Dave Chappelle, the waters of Lake Minnetonka. That's when you say that, but that's here nor there. Continue.
Okay, so that's where he's headed. So he ends up on Tatooine, and he comes back across the woman who had helped him in his own first season, now that he's taking over this show. And that's very significant because obviously we know that Boba Fett is there on Tatooine. And they are going to intersect at some point because he has to return the show. He has to give it back. He can't just, keep it forever, even though we would love him to. I think it comes at a really good time because people have been a little bit iffy about where Book of Boba Fett is going and whether it's definitely not Mando. It's definitely not Mando. So how do you fix that? Yeah, throw Mando in there. You just let him take over the whole dang thing. So he's going to hook up with Boba at some point to help him in his journey to become the king crime, person of a Tatooine. But so he meets up with the mechanic and she gives him a ship. And before I get into that, because I'm going to get very, very angry very, very quickly, let's make a couple of other points real quick about what is significant about this. So we're getting a look at what is kind of happening in the bigger universe, in the bigger galaxy. We know that, we've got the Darksaber. He's got to go back out there. There's the Jedi are out there. Moff Gideon is back out there. So there's all of these bigger conflicts that are happening in the Star Wars galaxy far, far, far away. So that's great because I think Book of Boba was feeling pretty small. So this is opening it up. Okay, so now, why am I mad? Do you have any idea?
She's big mad. I could take a crack at it if you'd like.
You can make a guess. Yeah. What do you think I was yelling about? Because I'm sure you don't even...
She's upset that everything seems to lead back to the Skywalkers.
I know! Everything leads back to this. Can we just have something that does not lead back to the Skywalkers? Look, I get it. I understand. I know. It's Star Wars. Star Wars is the Skywalkers. But it's a big galaxy, guys. It's huge. It's gigantic. There's, thousands and thousands, maybe millions of planets and trillions of people, and everything comes back to like this one small group of like 5 people. No, please. And this is what I was upset about at the end of Mandalorian was the whole Luke Skywalker thing. I know why they did it. I can see how it was cool. I think it's awesome that baby Grogu is now hanging out with baby Ben Solo, who's 4 years old at this point in the story. But you don't need it. You do not need the Star Wars. You don't need the Skywalkers. You don't need the Skywalkers is what I mean. There's so much great story content here that you can use. There's so much more that Mando is, that Boba is, that all of these Star Wars stories are without the Skywalkers. It's over. It's over. Right? It's over. Look, that's just, that was my visceral response when I saw that the mechanic had given Boba Fett, had found him this starfighter pre-Empire from Naboo, the same kind of starfighter that Anakin Skywalker flew when he was a little kid and saved the day and helped destroy the droid army. Remember the droid army?
Was that in the Clone Wars?
It was, sort of. Wait, okay. No, that's not the Clone Wars. Anyways, it was sort of.
See, I was
But
right.
after. Anyways, so I got really mad and I walked away, and then I came back the next day to watch the rest of the episode because as soon as the starfighter showed up, I shut it off and I'm like, really? Another direct Skywalker connection? Sorry, the baby's sleeping. So whatever, I watched, I'm like, you know what? whatever. If that's the one thing that's, bothers me a little bit, whatever. I went back to watch it again. So they rebuild this starfighter, and then they're flying it through, where are they flying it? Beggar's Canyon. This is like pod racing, or what was that? Now this is pod racing. Also Anakin Skywalker from his time in the prequels, which makes me just even more angry. And then what does he say? What does Mando say when he's done going on his little joyride with his starfighter and he comes back into the hangar and the woman asks him, how was it? What does he say? Wizard. Wizard? Wizard? Just like what Anakin Skywalker said. We don't need it. We don't need the Skywalkers. Look, Jon Favreau, I love 99.9% of what you have done, but this was unnecessary fan service. And it made me so mad. I don't even know why I'm so mad. I don't even know why I have this visceral, bloody response.
It's the trauma from the end of the last series of movies where Rey was a Skywalker.
No, she's not also a Skywalker!
I think this is just reliving some of that trauma.
Oh. Yeah, Rey doesn't need to be a Skywalker either. Rey does not need to be a Skywalker. She can be her own person. She can be a nobody who comes from nothing, but is gifted with the Force, just like Anakin. And she was supposed to be with Ben and make lots of Ben Solo, little Rey Solo babies, okay? If she was going to be anything at all, she should have been Rey Solo, but better than that, just Rey. Just Rey. No, I'm not okay. I'm still not okay. But that's just my opinion, guys. I don't think that a lot of other people had as visceral a reaction as I had to it. It is fan service. It makes a lot of people giddy and happy. It just made me super, super mad. And he's right. I still have not recovered from the end of The Rise of Skywalker. But that's my trauma to deal with. That's my, that's my baggage. That's my baggage. But I will survive. We will go on. My heart will go on. Just like Leonardo DiCaprio's. But what did you guys think? What did you guys think of this episode 5 of the Book of Boba Fett? Did you hate it? Did you love it? Do you think I'm insane? Go ahead and reach out to us, the Hub on Hollywood. We're on Twitter. We're on Instagram. We're on Facebook. We now have a TikTok, too. So that's at Hub on Hollywood, the ticks and the talks. At Hub on Hollywood. Find us. Join the conversation. It's going to be fun. We will give you a shout out. So now, Mr. Ronald is here because he loves Ozark. Ozark, way too dark and bloody for me, but number 1 on Netflix right now. Having a lot of people are binge watching this, and so what have we got here? Why is it number 1?
Well, thank you for having me. A long-time listener, first-time contributor. I had to say that. So yes, Ozark. It is becoming a kind of a cult classic on Netflix. It is being binged, as you mentioned, number 1 show this week.
Number 1 new show.
Exactly. And I had to take the opportunity this week to give my review, give my thoughts on the last season of Ozark, which is season 4. They are breaking it up into 2 parts. So 7 episodes have just been released, and 7 more will be released at the end of the year, and that will conclude it. So 4 action-packed, very intense seasons.
Very intense.
She watched the first episode with me. I got into it thinking, okay, this is, like a Breaking Bad type show, and the premise looked promising, and we're both watching it together, and I think was it 10-15 minutes, she's like, I can't do this.
No, I can't. I couldn't handle it.
it was just too intense. Very dark, great characters, everything that you really want in the show. But you look at the accolades that it has received, 32 plus Primetime Emmy Award nominations, including Outstanding Drama Series, with Jason Bateman leading that cast as Marty Bird, Laura Linney as his wife, Wendy Bird, and Julia Garner steals the show as Ruth, another main character within the show. She also won for her role as a supporting actress in the series. So the awards are there, the accolades, the ratings, everything is, driving the success of this. Right. So to give a brief recap, Ozark is set in, it starts out in Chicago. Kind of vanilla, well-to-do family. Father is a financial advisor. He has a partner. They do very well for themselves. Kids are going to school, becoming teenagers, and he finds out his partner has been working or skimming from a Mexican drug cartel. And
who isn't, really? Who isn't?
And,
why not?
The father happens to be one of the best money launderers in the business, and the cartel, of course, comes looking for an explanation, and bad things happen. Yeah. We'll leave it at that. And he convinces the representative from the cartel to allow him and his family to move to Lake of the Ozarks, Missouri, which he says has more ocean front property or real estate than California, and let him buy a series of businesses in which to help launder the cartel's money. And they let him live, provided that he can pull this off. And he runs through a series of, colorful local characters and threatening situations in order to do this. And he actually manages, combined with the talents of his wife, who happens to be a former political operative and knows the connections, knows what levers to pull to make it work. And here we are at season 4. So spoiler alert.
Spoiler alert.
At the end of season 3, we're dealing with the death of his brother-in-law, Ben, who was amazingly played. Character that had bipolar disorder and some significant mental health issues. And they had to
whack him.
Unfortunately, they had a situation where Ben found out everything. And
his sister had him killed.
And his sister had him killed in the series.
Now, if I can just interrupt you for a second, I did watch that part of the show, and it's still like I think about it, and it just makes my stomach turn.
It hurts.
And it hurts, and it was so dark. And the way that they dealt with it was not just she takes her brother to a restaurant where they're going to kill him, or where they're going to intercept him, kidnap him, and kill him. And she asks him, what he wants to do in the next 5 years of his life. And it's just so intense. And then she's crying in a parking lot for a few days. She doesn't want to go home, dealing with the guilt of having just had her brother assassinated. And yet she still went through with it. Yep. And there's just no levity, it seems like.
No, it's so raw.
Yeah.
It's so raw and in emotional, and you get so enveloped in, in everything that they're going through and the choices they have to make. Because, of course, that's not the choice that she wanted to make. And she tried everything she could to make, to protect her brother through all of it. But he kept compromising them. And unfortunately, they put their lives in danger. So season 4 is dealing about the fallout from that decision. And their youngest son, Jonah, who's really coming into his own, modeling after his father as a wannabe launderer, is acting out because his uncle is gone, and he knows what happened, and he blames his mother rightfully for it. So the family still has to move on, though, and they're thrown a very significant twist. So they're in Mexico. The cartel's lawyer has just been assassinated because the cartel's leader is now trusting in the couple, Wendy and Marty, in order to continue their operation. And he tells them, I want you to launder me. I want you to clear my name, to remove me and my family from threat of arrest, from assassination, from any other danger that would exist. And it's impossible. You know, they tell him it's really difficult. He asks them to launder him, to deliver him successfully beyond the threat of prosecution, murder, all of that. And they tell him this is impossible. You know, we need you to basically give yourself up. You're talking prison time. And he's like, no, I still want you to make this work. So Marty goes to work cultivating the ongoing relationship he's had with an FBI agent as an informant. And they work out, hey, we're going to start passing along tips to help the FBI. They start making seizures. But the wild card in this is the cartel leader's nephew, who comes in, is looking to, you know, expand his role within the organization, and he suspects something's up. He is on to Marty. He is on to the Birds, and he's less and less trusting of his uncle. So he figures it out eventually, and towards the end, it unravels pretty quickly. The FBI agent, it comes to a head with her organization too, and, you know, doesn't want to cut this deal. So the theme here is very much the threat, the insider threat from family, from his nephew, from the Birds' son, as opposed to the first 3 seasons where a lot of those threats were external. And now you see how much more ominous that makes it, because, you know, obviously people in your inner circle know all the secrets. They're the ones that are the most dangerous, to a threat to everything that's been going on.
And Wendy killed her brother. Is she going to kill her son?
Yep. And there's a very telling scene within one of the episodes where Charlotte, the sister, and Jonah are talking, and Jonah looks at Charlotte and says, you know, what would you do if Mom asked you to kill me? Yeah. And Charlotte replied, you know, that was mental illness. It was different. And that's not the response Jonah was looking for.
Right.
Jonah later said that he preferred the response of I wouldn't under no circumstance.
Right.
So that's a disconnect that you see there, and all the decisions that Wendy and Marty have had to make. And if you followed the show through the first 3 seasons, you already understand all the sacrifices they've made and the very difficult choices. It's, you know, it gets very fast paced, edge of your seat type of action. And I do want to compare it a little bit with Breaking Bad, because a lot of people will probably wonder, you know, if they haven't seen it yet, how does this stack up to Breaking Bad? And you know, it's tough to put them, you know, apples to apples, but it's definitely darker. It has less comedic relief.
That's why I can't watch it. I can't watch it. There's no relief. There's no levity. But
you do have those moments. You know, you do have a few. There's a few of my favorite ones. So in the first season, Marty's getting the money out of the bank, and he's trying to get it out for his, you know, escape to the Ozarks, and he's surrounded by federal agents, because you can't just show up to a bank and withdraw $7 million without triggering something. And they think he's being kidnapped or under duress.
Which he is, you know.
And he kind of is, but, you know, he keeps a cool head and a straight face, and he says, it's my business. If I want to take all, you know, $7 million out and play Scrooge McDuck in my bathtub with it, that's my personal business. That was one of my favorite moments. Also, during season 1, there's a character named Tuck, who was also played very well, a character who has Down syndrome, and becomes a kind of a beloved sub-character within the first season. And there's a moment within every time Marty walks into this restaurant called the Blue Cat, a marina restaurant type place, and he plays Still the Same by Bob Seger. So every time you think of that song, and every time you think of Tuck, and then of course works on Marty's nerves, and he gets to the end there, and he says, you think you could pick another song on the jukebox, bud? So it does. It has those moments. Jason Bateman is absolutely brilliant. And of course, anything he does, but in this in particular, you know, as a comparison to Walter White, he's very good at what he does, just like Walter White. His superpower is money laundering. Walter White's was chemistry. And, you know, they both use that to their advantage. They have their supporting staff. In the case of Ozark, that's Ruth and his wife, obviously. His wife takes a much more active role in the operation than Skylar does in Breaking Bad. Skylar's kind of just off to the side and a lot.
Can't stand Skylar.
Yeah.
I don't think any of the female characters are really good in either of these, but I think they represented women maybe a little bit better in Ozarks. Like, at least a little more realistically, I feel like.
Yeah,
I feel like
that was my next point. So Ozark feels more realistic. Now, nothing against Breaking Bad. If you give me both shows, I'll take Breaking Bad.
Yeah,
I mean,
but you relate more to Jason Bateman's character.
I do. I feel like if I were in that situation, I would probably be more of a Jason Bateman type than, Bryan Cranston.
Right. Well, it's nice to know that you won't be the one who knocks. You know what I mean? Like,
or running around in my tighty whities.
Or throwing pizza on the roof. You might do that.
No, you don't want to waste good pizza.
No, you don't. No. I guess not. No.
So, I mean, it has those similar moments. Towards the beginning, towards the end of each series, there's that unraveling, that edge of your seat, like, oh my God, so many things are going to happen. This person's in danger. The consequences of all their decisions and their actions all come up at once. So you get that same adrenaline rush that you get in Breaking Bad, and there are a lot of parallels. The character that comes up in the 4th season, that's the cartel's nephew, is very similar to the Breaking Bad universe in Better Call Saul. That character is named Lalo in Better Call Saul.
Lalo.
And he plays that same role. He's a representative of the organization. He's checking in on Saul and everything and Gus to see how everything's going. And
I miss them.
And he's he's undermining what's going on, and he's working against the organization's interests because he has his own power and greed in mind. So I think that if you are a fan of Breaking Bad, you've been following Better Call Saul, which is currently on its I believe it's its final season coming up. They're going to wrap that and actually integrate it into the rest of the Breaking Bad universe. You will certainly enjoy Ozark. You will definitely love Ozark. Watch it from the beginning. And if you're caught up, binge in season 4. Yeah. Well worth it. It has not lost a beat. I cannot wait to see what happens, how they get out of this, how they wrap up. The last episode, Ruth ends up finding out that her cousin...
Spoiler alerts again.
Spoiler alert. Her cousin has been murdered by the cartel and is now going after the erratic nephew of the cartel. So now she's completely done. She's done with Marty. She's done with the whole situation. She tried to warn him. She tried to get him out of that situation. And now, again, consequences of choices. And there's still 7 episodes. I can't picture how much more they can pack into this.
All right. Well, what do you guys think about Ozarks? Have you watched it yet? Are you going to watch it? Are you loving the new season? Let us know. At Hub on Hollywood. We're on all the social medias. You can listen to us wherever major podcasting, wherever you hear your podcasts, wherever you listen to them, while you're driving, on the toilet, really anywhere. Just look us up, Hub on Hollywood, and join the conversation, and we'll have lots of fun. So before we go, since you are a special guest on this episode while James is convalescing, is that the word? Getting better. I have some trivia for you.
Let's do it.
Now, I am a super nerd. He is not. I did not know the extent to which he did not know certain things until long after I was already married to him. So there was no escape there. But I have some questions for you, okay? Let's see if you can answer them. Let's start with something easy. Well, first of all, let's go. What's Darth Vader's real name?
Anakin Skywalker.
Yay! You got it. And who is Anakin Skywalker? What's his story?
He is...
Where'd he come from?
Could it be Tatooine?
Yeah.
Oh, I guessed that correctly.
That was a good guess.
Good
guess.
Okay.
Sandy planets that, make him hate sand.
He was turned to the dark side by Palpatine.
Okay, but how?
He just said, "Come on over. It's better here."
Exactly, precisely. Okay, you got it. And who's Anakin's daddy?
It's not Samuel Jackson, is it?
It should be, but it's not. And Samuel Jackson tries to stop him from turning to the dark side. He was conceived by midichlorians. He is the Jesus, immaculately conceived, chosen one of the Star Wars universe. Didn't go very well. Didn't end very Jesus-y. What planet is Rey from?
Naboo?
No. No. No, that is not the right answer. And just for the heck of it, how do you get onto the Hogwarts Express?
You got to show up at that train station.
Okay, that train station.
It's
anywhere in particular in that train station?
Numbered.
Uh-huh. It does have a number. Do you know what the number is?
I'm thinking of something in the 50s.
Guys, send help. Please. Send help. And now we know that Harry Potter has a scar now, right?
We do.
I asked this guy.
We do.
I said, because our son has a scar on his head. I'm like, look, our son has a scar like Harry Potter. And he's like, Harry Potter has a scar? I'm like, what? How did you...
So...
There was no vetting. There was no vetting.
But as you've mentioned on previous episodes...
Yeah.
I was only allowed to watch a handful of movies.
That's right. It's not his fault.
As a child. Mostly Jaws.
Yeah, mostly.
So Jaws...
If not exclusively Jaws.
If not exclusively. And an assortment of 80s comedy movies. So mostly Rodney Dangerfield.
Yeah.
So.
It's not his fault. So you know what? It's my job to get him up to speed. And we appreciate that. Mm-hmm. And we will have Ron back on at some other point to... to give us his interpretations of certain stories and or trivia. But until next time, thank you for joining us on this episode of The Hub on Hollywood. Here's wishing James a speedy recovery, and we will be back next week. Have yourself a great week. Watch Ozarks, watch Book of Boba. Find us at Hub on Hollywood. Let us know what you think of both. And until next week, I'm Jamie.
I'm Ron.
See you next time.
Bye-bye.